Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me as always is the mogul of this dice kingdom,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Rajas of the Ganges Roll and Write Dice Charmers. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. So players use 8 dice with different symbols to develop their province, gather goods, sell them at the market, win over influential personalities in the palace, and sail up and down the Ganges River. To win this race, you must be the first to have your fame marker and your money marker intersect on the 2 tracks that run in opposite directions. All right, well, so how does the game change for 2 players?
So for 2-player, there is a section called the Dice Depot. Basically, when you choose a die, you put it on there. For 2 players, you use the side that has 2 spots, which means for playing a 2-player game, you will take 2 turns in a round instead of just 1.
Exactly.
Otherwise, there's no change, and there is no Nana Mogul.
Nope, no Nana.
Or Nana Raja.
There might be bananas to pick. Maybe.
Maybe.
All right. So issues at the 2-player count is that second action just, it feels a little weird, like it's slightly diminished. Like you'd think being able to take a second action would be like, oh, awesome, I get to do 2 things in 1 round. But because your pool of dice stay the same, except for the fact that dice are being taken away, you have fewer choices.
Yeah, normally you want the optimum choice, which is what happens with your first dice choice.
Yes.
The interesting thing, I think, when it comes to your second diminished action is it kind of forces you to explore parts of the game that you might not be entirely focusing on.
That's true.
So it allows for a little bit more depth in how you play the game in a 2-player game, even though it does feel diminished on that given round.
That makes sense.
Because you're like, well, I'm not really moving around the territories. Well, now that's like some of my best options. So might as well go for it.
Yep. So kind of the other side of that is what it does well then is it speeds up the game. The fact that you're doing 2 things, even if one of them is a diminished action, it's still a full action. So you are doing 2 things per round, whereas if you're playing a 3 or 4, or does this go up to? I think this goes up to 5. You would only be taking 1 action, so it takes longer. So it is nice that it plays faster.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for the 2-player experience. Otherwise, nothing feels really different from a more player game. So accessibility. There's a lot of icons.
Yeah, there are 6 different people's heads. There are 3 different resource types. Goods. There are, I think it's all 6 different for the river.
Yeah, there's 6 unique icons for the river.
And then you have road icons, and that doesn't include all the icons that appear just on the sheet. So I'm just covering the dice.
Yeah. There's a lot. So the reason we're bringing this up is that it can be challenging to learn. Not that they're not distinct, just the sheer number is getting them all straight. Now the good news is like the dice are color coded. They're relatively well sectioned on your sheet. So once you get over that learning hump of this is where this is, this is where this is, this is where that is, then it's a lot easier to play.
Yes. It's just getting used to oh, this color refers to this section.
Yeah.
And I should probably ignore those things. It just feels like a lot of icon overload.
Agreed. And the other thing is some of the graphic design is not that great. The province area where you have the roads and these buildings and things, it's kind of dark. So if you're not playing in really good light, you might end up being, picking up your sheet to try to look at it and make things distinct. And of course, they're small sheets, small text, small icons. It's just, this is a normal issue with most roll and writes. It's just because they tend to go with smaller sheets and they're trying to cram so much information on it.
Yeah, especially the heavier the roll and write is.
Right, exactly.
Although this one does have 2 different types of sheets.
Yes, but there's not much difference between the 2 sheets. It's location of bonus icons.
Yeah.
And I think the river mixes up the benefits. So like some of your benefits and bonuses are in different locations, but everything else is, the palace is over on the left side, your province is on the right, the river and market are at the bottom. So it just more mixes up the benefits you get, so you can freshen up your game.
Which can be good and can be bad. Because if you're switching constantly back and forth, you'll never really grasp where anything is.
Right. If you're looking for specific bonuses, like, okay, yeah, if I need to get to this bonus and you're switching maps constantly, that bonus is not going to be in the same place.
Yes.
So that's not so great. The good news is you could choose when you set up the game. You're like, I'm always going to use the sun sheet, or I'm going to use the moon sheet, whatever you want.
Right.
So what it does right, like we said, iconography is all unique. It's very distinct. You're not going to get the palace, the people in the palace, their heads are not going to get mixed up with any of the icons on the river or anything else, vice versa. It's all unique.
Yes.
And at the end, it's all open information. So if you're having trouble with something, hopefully someone at the table can help you.
Yes. Or they're just as confused as you are.
That could be a possibility too. All right, so conclusion.
For 2 players.
Yeah, I think this is a very good game to play at 2.
Yeah, it's a very nice, crunchy, roll and write. Definitely had a lot of fun at 2 players.
Yep.
Accessibility.
I think so. Most people are gonna be fine with this. Worst case, you might want to scan it in and make it print it up larger. But definitely it's playing good lighting, really.
Yeah, the only accessibility I had was just cramming all the information in to play the initial game. But once I got into playing it, I could see that, by separating these dice into 4 different color groups, they're really only talking about 4 little mini games that all kind of interact.
Agreed, yep.
So once I got that grasped, I had a lot easier time playing the game. Yep. All right, so Sarah, when it comes to the Rajas of the Ganges, Roll and Write, Dice Charmers, the Dice Charmers, do you think we need to play the big game?
You know, the big game has been kind of on my wish list for a really long time. The problem being, and we'll talk about this more in the review video, I'm not sure how much I like this. And so if I'm not sure how much I like the Roll and Write, which should be the supposedly distilled version of it, I may not like the big game. But it is on, and I am not exactly sure how to pronounce this, but this is how I pronounce it, Yucata.de. It's like Board Game Arena, but different. It has, it has a lot more Euro style games, and it could be because I'm assuming it's not America based, although I don't know that Board Game Arena is either. Anywho.
Would be DE, would that be Germany?
It's possible.
Because I think that's Deutschland.
Yes, I do not know the origin. Anyways, both the Dice Charmer and the full board game of Rajas are on there. So I think if we're going to play the big game, we would need to try it through there first.
Right.
Because of some of the mechanisms I'm not so keen on.
Gotcha. All right. And why would you ever roll with just one when you can be rolling with 2? And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.